motion to nominate Councillor Panasic as chair.
I'd accept.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Okay, we'll go to first item of business, adoption of the agenda. Any additions, changes?
On the scheduled delegations, item number I, it's Lesser Slave Lake Regional Council. It should be, I believe, Lesser Slave Lake Economic Alliance.
Yes. Any other changes? Okay, all those in favor of the agenda with the change? All right, moving on. Oh,
I'd like to make a motion to extend this meeting past 11 o'clock.
okay. Well before the time, so.
If you choose to vote it down, you will know that you have until 11 o'clock to get through this, leaving enough time for discussion of the confidential items. Which makes no difference to me. I'm just letting you guys know that this is, I want more than 10 minutes at the end of the meeting.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, so we can extend it. All right, we have a scheduled delegation. And we'll let Darcy take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good evening, members of council and Mr. Tobacco. I'm Darcy Acton. I'm the Executive Director of Lesser Slave Lake Economic Alliance. And I'd also like to introduce our chairman, Barry Sharkawi. He's the leader of our board of directors. So we're here tonight to just make a brief presentation to council and answer your questions about our organization. I'm going to talk fast, and I promise you I will not be here until 11 p.m. I'll be here till 7:20 p.m. or hopefully not too long after that. So thank you for 20 minutes of your time, and I hope you have some questions for us. We are going to go low tech tonight. You have the presentation in your agenda package, and I have exactly the same presentation here, and I have a few other handouts for you this evening too. So for the second page of your handout, the mission statement gives you an idea of, this has been the mission statement of LSLEA since the very beginning of our organization in 2007. So we are a network of partners, and we coordinate resources to promote economic development initiatives for the benefit of our stakeholders. And you, High Prairie, the town of High Prairie, have been a part of that network right from the very beginning of the organization. The vision, we are the next place. You'll see that slogan on almost everything that we do. And we're the next place to set up a business. We're the next place to move your family. We are the next place where exciting things will happen in Alberta. So a brief history of regional economic development alliances in Alberta. We're part of a network of 11 regional economic development alliances throughout the province. And they were formed, the beginning of the concept of REDAs started in about 1997, 1998 as a pilot project in southern Alberta. So the idea was that for smaller municipalities and for the lower populated areas of the province, to achieve economic outcomes for everybody involved, working together was the way to go. So the province of Alberta started that initiative, and then a few years later, there were a number of us. At one time there were 14 REDAs in the province. Currently there are 11. And we, LSLEA, your REDA, was the most recently established one in 2007. So we have the shortest history among the 11, but we have achieved many things together. In 2012, there was a major and dramatic change to the way that the province supported RETAs. So previous to 2012, the staffing and the overhead costs were entirely covered through the ministry of the day. And in 2012, a dramatic change happened where we, RETAs, were to become grassroots, locally led organizations. So since 2012, LSLEA and all of the other RETAs have been supporting themselves to a great extent with provincial funding, but we've been much more locally run, much more of a grassroots organization, and much truer to the way that the Societies Act meant us to be right from the get-go. So we are a nonprofit society registered under the Societies Act. So, and we are still very generously supported by Alberta Innovation and Advanced Education. They provide us the lion's share of our funding, and they also provide us with guidance and support with their staff that help us. So there are resources there for us. The next page shows you a colorful map of the province of Alberta, and these are the economic regions of Alberta as they are currently defined. And you'll see that the beautiful green one in the middle, that's us, that's our region. So Lesser Slave Lake Economic Alliance includes the MD of Big Lakes, the MD of Lesser Slave River, and the MD of Opportunity, and all of the communities in that big region. And we are prominently located right smack in the center of the province. So you can see the other RETAs where they're located. So you've had a presentation from PREDA, the Peace Region Economic Development Alliance, a few months ago, and they have a even bigger geographical region just to the west. Our current membership includes 5 municipalities, 3 Métis settlements, and 4 other supporting organizations that do business throughout our region. And we are always looking for new members and trying to initiate new forms of membership as well, which you'll see on the following page. Our current priorities are to strengthen our relationships within our current network and with our stakeholders that may or may not be members of our organization. So regional stakeholders in economic development, every community has some form of economic development going on, and we're not meant to replace that, but to work in collaboration with those organizations. We want to recruit new members because we believe that the more at the table, the more we can achieve. And additional member categories, so that leads to the next point. We think there's probably a category available for industry. We need to figure out ways to connect with industry and to create membership opportunities there. Some of our current projects that are underway, and I've just listed 4 of them there. We've got a lot going on, but here are the four that we can talk about tonight. First of all, our current 3-year strategic plan is about to come to an end, so we need to undertake a strategic planning process. And we're looking for ways to do that, where we can effectively engage all of our members and the stakeholders beyond our membership to create a really solid 3-year plan for the organization. This would be I believe our 3rd go at strategic planning, so they've been traditionally 3-year plans. We have been big supporters of Small Business Week initiatives that have been put on by the High Prairie Chamber of Commerce and the Slave Lake Chamber of Commerce. So Small Business Week happens in October of every year, so we were involved with their Small Business Week initiatives. And then as a follow-up to that, and to continue with that type of project, we are undertaking a new project to create some video success stories of local small businesses. So we're just in the planning and quote gathering stage for that project, but in the end what we hope to have are videos that are 2 to 3 minutes in length that showcase small business people in our region and give them the ability to tell their own story and ultimately will inspire entrepreneurship in our region. So that should be interesting, and we're going to be finished that project no later than the end of May, so stay tuned. It'll be exciting. We're currently partnering with Tri-Council. That's the Tri-Council that is made up of the town of Slave Lake, the MD of Lesser Slave River, and the Sawridge First Nation in a business case development and study for a marina in the east basin of the lake. So that's a project that's currently underway, and we are 50-50 partners in that project. So we're keeping a close eye on it, and we'll be getting reports back from our managing partner, the Tri-Council, and make sure that we keep all of our members involved or informed about the outcome. And the other opportunity that we have, although a formal decision has not yet been made about this, there is an opportunity for us to partner with the Municipal District of Big Lakes on a project that they have just launched, which is an economic study of development potential in the west basin of Lesser Slave Lake. So we're looking into that as an opportunity so that we can share in the cost, but also share in the benefits of that study. All right, so some of our recent successes, these are things that we've had a long history, or it seems like a long history, since 2007, and we've been involved with many valuable projects and initiatives. And so some of the ones that are listed here, we've just recently, and you may have seen these already, I know Brian, you've seen the video vignettes of the dual credit learning and industry opportunities with High Praise School Division. So that was again a video production, and it has been widely distributed through digital platforms throughout our region and beyond to encourage young high school students to consider a career in the trades and to demonstrate the benefit of the dual credit learning opportunity that exists between High Praise School Division and Northern Lakes College.
Darcy, where are they? Like, I haven't seen them. Is it just like distributed throughout the schools, or?
You haven't seen the video? So one place you can access the link to it is on our website, lslea.ca. And I'm not sure what High Praise School Division, they've got it on their website as well. But if you'd like, I can certainly distribute it to your council as well, so you can take a look at it. It's really exciting. It's the neat thing about it is the voice of the youth in that video. It's prominently it's unscripted, but the spoken part is a lot of it is from the kids. So it's good. Yeah, I'll make sure that you get access to that.
It's on the college website also.
Okay, that's great. So the other thing we've done is an opportunity analysis. This was published in 2013. It's I just brought the one copy. I'll leave it with you, Kelly. But if you need more copies, we certainly have more of them. This was prepared in 2013, and it is to describe commercial recreation development opportunities, not just on Lesser Slave Lake, but on a number of other lakes throughout our region. So it was a study that we undertook to assist the tourism industry. The other thing we've done, and this is a little bit more recent, although anything that you publish that includes statistics goes immediately out of date as soon as you print it. So we did regional investment profiles for all of the communities within our region. These you can see digitally on our website, but I've also got the printed copies. You probably have 5 million of these already. Thank you. So these are gives you statistical information and the usual economic development information for people who would want to locate in any of the communities in our region. There's information in here. Now we can see, because these are a year and a half old, there's probably some updates that need to be done. Probably the next time we do this, we might want to stick to the digital format. I don't know. Print material is good as well, but as soon as you print it, the statistics seem to go out of date. So and everything in Alberta is changing, it seems, from week to week. So, but this is an example of the kind of project that takes place when we are all sitting at the table together. So the other thing we did recently is this regional attractions map, and this was done in partnership with the Lesser Slave Lake Regional Tourism, and it's we call it a fun map, but it just shows in our region where are the places you might want to go visit if you're visiting our area, things to do. And it seems that almost every region in Alberta has a similar kind of map. So again, this is something, as more businesses develop, we'll have to revise the map as well. So, but it's a great little map. The other thing I wanted to draw your attention to is our new website. I know that the town of High Prairie recently had upgrades to your website, and I believe we have the same web developer. So we have just launched our brand new lslea.ca website. So I would encourage you to please visit it, and if you have any feedback about the content, please get a hold of me, let me know. Alright, so the next slide talks about, what are the advantages of being a member of Lesser Slave Lake Economic Alliance? So really, the number one thing here is the strength of the network. This is an opportunity for elected officials and representatives of organizations to all sit at the same table, discuss things that are of mutual concern, and to plan economic initiatives that are of regional benefit. So the thing about LSLEA is we don't have a mandate to lead economic development. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but really our mandate is to assist and to coordinate and to leverage support and to bring people to the same table so that those who are leading economic development, that's municipalities, that's economic development organizations, that's business people in your community, they're leading economic development. Our role is to assist the process and to coordinate and to give a forum for that regional voice. Also, and this cannot be stated too strongly, because Lesser Slave Lake Economic Alliance is part of a provincial network, it gives all of our members access to the resources that are available provincially, and it gives you the connection to Alberta's economic development framework. So it's an important part of the structure of our organization, and it's definitely a benefit to our members. And I think also most importantly here, that anything that we do together to support economic development is supportive to the people who are doing business in your community. So those are small business people, big industry, nonprofit organizations, all of the people that are creating jobs and prosperity in our region. So those are some of the advantages of continuing your membership with our organization. And as I said, we're not meant to replace other economic development initiatives in the region. We know that a lot of municipalities have economic development departments and people assigned to economic development. We're there to help all of those to work together for the benefit of the region. All right, quickly, and here's the fun stuff. The fee structure. So just in case you are wondering, where do we get our money? And what is the role of the municipal membership fee in our organization? So we determine our membership fees on a weighted percentage basis. What does that mean? That means that we take into consideration the population and also the equalized assessment of each municipal member. So of our 5 municipalities that are members of our organization currently, High Prairie, in case you're wondering what your weighted percentage is, you are about 8.5% in the weighted percentage category. That might seem like a small number, but let me tell you that that represents a huge advantage to you, High Prairie. So this gives you this distinct advantage because your voice at the regional table is equal to everybody else's voice at that regional table. So you're in a pool of municipalities, Métis settlements, and supporting organizations, and each one of those members has an equal voice. So your fee is based on numbers, but your voice is based on being at the table. And the next pie chart there gives you an idea. Aside from municipal membership fees and other membership fees, which make up about 23% of our total income in any given year, you will see that the province of Alberta, through innovation and advanced education, provide us with the lion's share of our funding, the two biggest pieces of our pie. So this pie could change from year to year, and what we're hoping is that we can attract other types of funding, other kinds of project dollars, so that we can increase the yellow piece of the pie and maybe have a bigger pie in the end. All right, so I want to make sure we leave 2 minutes, no, time for your questions as well. So I'd be happy to answer your questions if you have any.
Darcy, maybe I want to add something else with the project we have been doing. We are doing right now, like beside the education, the training, we're trying to get a skill training program for the region, and we have the support of East Prairie, Gift Lake, and Levine, and the MD, and Highbury. I want to thank Debbie for the last time she was in our meeting and how strong she spoke out, to see something like that happen in our area and the region. Thanks, Debbie, for that. You were in the meeting. And that's what is so important, to have a representative to be there in our meeting, because there's lots to benefit. It's not the idea just even a group come to any of the councillor and say, we need some funding for this. The group will give the information to the person who present the town with us, and he bring us that information, and we'll see if we could support that group, if we could bring some funding for that group. So we are in a different way, in the different things we could help a lot, and that's the beneficiary. And Lesser Slave Lake Alliance had give us once $200,000 for economy and development, and that was 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I think. Yeah, and that's beneficially for the town. But it's important to have the president, somebody to be in there. What I mean by the skill program, I know the college, they have a wonderful idea about the education and get a credit of that one. But the idea of skill is somebody, say, in the age of 25, 30, 35, they left school from grade 7, 8, or 9, but they need a skill. They need something to live. They don't want to have education, just they want to know how to use a screwdriver, they want to know how to work with the oil company, they want to know how to drive a truck, and such like that. And we have a region of this area, and we could include another region, which I'm talking about, McLennan and Tulare and Peace River and all those, and Valley View. Those ones, if we have something in our region here, those kind of college, this area will benefit a lot, because you have Sucker Creek, you have Whitefish and Driftfile. You could go up to Swan River, they will come in here. And that's what we are planning right now to do, but we need a strong voice in the group. As I'm a chair, I have to be between, because always this Highbury Slave Lake thing. So when Highbury have their voice in there, they could talk more into it. And that will give you a strong voice in our group. Thanks.
Any other questions for Darcy?
Just one, I just was looking at the membership, and as Mr. Chicago just stated, I don't see Sucker Creek, Driftpile, the First Nations on there. Is there any particular reason for that?
There's no reason they're excluded. We have not pursued that membership opportunity, and we realize there is an opportunity there, so that's part of our future plans.
And trouble for you also, Whitefish, they might join us. And
Okay.
that will be the First Nation to be in there. Now, because they have a new chief, Jesse, and he's coming along,
Thank you.
yeah.
Darcy, this investment profile, is this something that we could get a copy of the High Prairie one and put on our website for potential investors?
Yeah, absolutely.
Digitally?
In fact, I know that the digital version of it is available on the LSLEA website. But what I need to figure out is the format of the file to see whether it can be transferred over. So let me look into that for you.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be good if we can put something like that on the town website in case there's any potential investors looking and they want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Good idea.
Any other questions? No? Well, thank you very much, Darcy. I know there's been questions around our council before, is exactly what does LSLEA do, and so it was good.
Right.
Good presentation.
Good. I want to thank you for inviting me, and I also want to thank you for your partnership and for having representatives appointed to sit as directors on LSLEA. Debbie's been quite active in the last little bit here. And even willing to join us by telephone from out of the country. I have a gift for you. This is to demonstrate to you, first of all, that I have been on the level with you. And also, that together, hopefully we will be able to measure results. It's a tape measure and a level. So, and that's my business card, so please don't lose it, because if you want to get a hold of me, I encourage you to do so. I can be reached anytime by email or by telephone.
Kirsten, if you left one for Quentin and for Michael, because
Sure.
they're the ones that actually had more of the questions. So if they have quick
They might
access
want
to your
to
business
answer.
card there, then we can get that to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got extra handouts here too, so I'll leave it. I put them here then. Good. There we go. Excellent. Thank you very much. Have a great meeting.
Thanks, Darcy.
Thanks, Chrissy.
All right, is there any public delegations? I can see that there, probably not, I'm guessing.
I thought Matt Lobson was coming.
Yeah. Well, oh,
He
was it?
said he was coming as a chamber, chairman president, he said he was gonna start coming to council meetings and hold our feet to the fire for the business community,
Okay, well,
next time.
next time. Moving on to our minutes from last meeting. Is there any changes on those?
I make a motion that council approve the minutes from the February 24th, 2015 regular meeting of council as presented.
Okay. No changes, everybody's happy with them? All right, all those in favor? Moving on to finance. We have our 2014 year-end summary financial statements.
Make a motion that council receives the following management prepared financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2014 for information.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Can you tell me what the Ps are in front of the total operating expense?
I don't know what a piece of.
All right, any other comments, questions?
So I'm looking at the trade and utilities receivable. And I'm wondering, is it at the end of the year? we had over $1 million outstanding,
That's
just under $1 million.
That's 153,000 for the trades and utilities receivable.
I thought that was taxes.
With taxes.
Yeah, it'd be the third one down, so 925, cause there's cash and taxes and trades and utility.
So is that normal?
That should be, I think, our tax year goes it's from June to June, right?
This isn't taxes though, this is trade and utilities.
I'll look into that, get the answer back to you.
Okay, so, and I guess therefore the same question arises, because this is at the end of December.
Right.
And I would have thought, if it's at the end of December, doesn't it have all of the January payments that apply to 2014 rolled into this?
It should be more accurate because of the fact that we've got right into March. All the information should be there.
All right, so I guess I'm looking at the accounts payable and I'm
But I
thinking,
think-
that's over $1 million.
Well, let me see, I think I have the details, maybe, if I can sort through the details, because you have the. Let me be on the safe side. Let me consult with the treasurer tomorrow and provide you information by email.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's be more accurate that way.
So, the revenue was higher. The revenue was $2 million higher than anticipated. If you go back to page 1 of 2.
Yes. So that could be, that may be a fact, it's a factor of both the development permit and
Right.
and then the gas.
The gas.
Yes.
Which would be offset by the expenses.
Offset by the expenses that has gone up more than the budgeted amount as
Okay.
well.
All right. Okay, so I don't really have any questions on page 1, but
Okay.
I'm interested in page 2, why those figures
Okay,
are so high.
get that for you tomorrow.
Debbie?
What is your question on, is it outstanding, is that what you're?
Well, I'm looking at the trades and utilities receivable. That means that people owe us $925,000 at the end of December. And I'm wondering, most of that probably is going to be utilities. Is that normal? That's almost $1 million.
642,000 is accrued receivables. If you look at the statement of financial position as of the end of December.
Where is that at? Oh, well, we didn't get that.
This was in my box. Must have been from a couple weeks
Okay.
ago or something, cause I.
So it's accrued receivables, which would be what?
I was hoping I knew what accrued receivables was, I was gonna say, cause that's the majority of it, whatever that's really.
Whatever
meaning.
that is, that is.
But yeah, maybe
But
we
that's
can get
good.
a.
Yeah.
That's a credit.
Why don't I get a breakdown?
Yeah, those are my
Sufficient.
2 questions. Why are those figures so high?
Right.
What are they made up of?
Okay.
And is it normal?
Okay.
Like, I don't know, I don't have a reference to be able to say, well, this is always like this at the end of the year.
Right. Okay. I'll get that for you tomorrow.
Alright, so we have a motion to accept this financial statement for information. All those in favor? Alright, moving on to the next item, the Hyperion District Recreation Board request, page 21. Okay, your thoughts?
I move that council approve the Hyperion District Recreation Board's additional request for the 2015 budget of $14,731.02.
Alright, questions, comments?
My comment is that we're comparing apples and oranges. We have the library, and we said, you guys spend way too much, we wanna cut it. We're trying to keep things on a level playing field, going with what we budgeted at 180. With the rec board, we budgeted 553. We wanna keep taxes at either the status quo or less, and yet we wanna increase their budget.
You wanna respond?
And I agree with you, and that is, one of the discussions that we had when this was sent back. Staff went through everything and came back and said, this is what we need, and please realize that there's a cost of living staff increase in here of 2.5%, whereas that is an average between the towns and the MDs. The towns is 3%. The MDs is 2%, so the recreation board takes the average of 2.5. You're gonna have to, well, how can you get an organization not get any grid raises or cost of living raises? That has got to be somehow in this budget. So they're going to have an increase of something. And they've gone back to 2.66% is what their budget is up from last year. And it's part of it is your staffing cost is increased, and the other is the utilities are increasing. Now, there was a discussion on, maybe we can cut back on the utility amount. And the MD reps basically said, we're not going back to our council and ask for more money for the recreation board because the utilities from the town increased and we didn't put it in the budget. We know the town is increasing the utilities. You guys either put it in that budget so that we don't have to go back and ask for more money, because we're not going to. The MD said, that's it, we're not going back. And that's why we came back and said, okay, the two town reps, which Quentin is one of them, basically said, okay, we will present this, and this is where the increase is at. The comparing apples and oranges, you're right, we did hold the line on the library. And I am still waiting to find out how much the provincial grant is for the library. So this recreation board, this includes all of their income. There's no other source of income that is not included in this. So you're looking at the hard figures of what it's gonna cost next year. And both Quentin and I feel basically that they've done a good job, and we're not coming back to council either and asking for more money. So if they need more money, they're gonna have to figure out how they're gonna get it out of this once they get the cost of living.
Debbie?
So just to clear up what you're trying to say, Linda, they're asking in this increase to consider the fact that utilities quite likely will increase, and they're putting that in their budget now.
Mm-hmm.
In response to that, I don't know if you've seen what the library has said. They went back to their staff and they talked to their staff, and their staff agreed to forego their COLA, but they gave them 1%.
Did we get the amount for the provincial grant?
Yes.
Yes, they've redone the budget.
Yeah, it's in the order, it's in your middle.
It's in my memo. How much is the provincial grant?
and they, when you read this, they did, and I'll talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this
yeah.
in my report,
Okay,
about what happened, but.
okay.
Sure.
At first I was against giving the increase, and then I see that when we did save the town 37 grand, we, as a council, decided we were gonna hand back 15,000 of it, so we really can't say that we're trying to save taxes when we do a move like that. And furthermore, as far as I'm understanding with the rec board in the library, at the end of the year, if they're over budget and they need more from us, we pretty much have to pay it anyways. So we're gonna end up looking like goofs at the end of the year if we say no now and just have to turn over and try to search for money in the end. Might as well just give it to them now, I guess.
Well, and I think the other thing is if there's extra, which, because I know this budget was built based on, the increase in utility rates, and that's not going to happen in the timely fashion that we had thought it might. So it's going to save them some money, so hopefully, I think the rec board would make sure that that money comes back if it's not being utilized, right? Like it's.
As part of the, agreement, all surpluses come back to the partner. They go towards capital purchases, capital expenditures. So they won't be asking for it twice, like,
Yeah.
it isn't like it's being spent or
Well, and
banked or saved or anything. It goes to, there's a mechanism for it to go.
Yeah, my only comment is that, okay, we've got this extra money and the utility rates aren't gonna go up, so we've got extra money we can spend on other things. And I would hope that the rec board would manage it accordingly so that it's not spent because they got extra that it's not gonna be there right now. That would be my only comment. No? Okay. Well,
Also,
oh,
a quick correction, the town scholar is 2%, not 3%.
2%.
Yes.
MD's is 3?
Don't think the MDs is
I don't know the MDs, but I know the towns is 2%, just to point of correction.
I'll check into that on the rec board to see why they're using 2.5. Because it's supposed to be the average of the two.
thanks for that. All right, we have a motion to approve the additional request of $14,731. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moving on to the High Prairie and District Airport, page 28. Deputy Mayor?
I make a motion that council approve adding $9,000 to the 2015 operational budget line 233-77-000-000, grant MD of Big Lakes for the estimated cost of repairs to the High Prairie and District Airport terminal building and landscaping.
All right, thank you. Mayor Cox?
Is there a budget line in 2015 with an amount attached to it?
Excuse me?
Is there a budget amount attached to that line
Yeah, the
in the
interim.
2015?
The interim budget is $27,416.08.
Okay, so this amount,
The actual amount for the airport, I think there's a debenture amount, so that doesn't, it's in the budget, but the 12,500 is the operational grant for the airport. So there are two things that can happen. You can say, well, we received this for information, and then 9,000 will come from the 12,500, or you can add the 9,000 to the 12,500.
why would you add 9,000 to the 12,500?
Because we anticipate that there'll be more expenses operationally, right? Because you have 10% of the costs to go all over the year. So you're gonna spend some money. So it was budgeted. This is more out of the blue for a big repair, $90,000 repair, right? Starting off from the year, at the beginning of the year. So going into the year, you'll be spending some money. So you can budget for it now, or you can come back and deal with it later on. That's an option.
Go ahead, David.
Aren't we, what's in the budget right now is just amortization?
Plus,
Because we've taken out everything else of the airport budget because of the agreement with the MD. Cause it used to be $137,000. And now we got $27,000 in there, and 14,000 of that is just amortization.
exactly. So you're left with 12,500.
So that's all we have to, that's actual money to work
Exactly.
with.
Exactly, to work with. And because you have 10% cost share, obviously you're gonna be paying for something in the course of the year. So you can increase the budget, or you can sustain it that way, and at the end of the year, you can figure it out. Either way.
Kelly, did they give you the estimated operating budget for the airport? Now, at the airport committee meeting, we
Right.
asked that question and they said, yes, that was supplied to the town. And that might be where the 12,500 came from, is that right?
I
And
think-
this, is that where that number came from?
It's related to because this is 90%, so they're spending over $100,000 in the operating. We're spending 12,500.
Yeah.
What is happening is this one is a big repair. They just realized that the building has a big problem. They pay it's 90,000, and we're paying $9,000 of that. So we are suggesting that you can add a 9,000 to the existing 12,500. You say, well, we'll run with that in the course of the year, or you can just receive for information, and then this will be paid out of the 12,500. But I believe that
No,
it's such a long time.
I think we have to be clear is that the operating budget of the airport is going to use up that 12,500. It can't come out of there because there's already, gonna be budgetary commitments for that. Because they've hired a person that works out there, they've got the operating costs of clearing snow and all of those other things that normally go with the airport, and that's our 10% of that. What they want to do is do some additional repairs to that building, and it was, having been in there and haven't been in there for like 15, 20 years since I've been in there, it was in very rough shape. It was in poor shape. That's all. Both upstairs and downstairs, and really this 90,000, just to be clear, really only upgrades the top floor and make sure that they do landscaping so that the water's gonna run away from the building. Right now, the building is in the low spot, so all of the water runs down, and so the basement's been flooded out a few times. There was problems with a leaky roof that they had to take the roof down and repair that, leaky windows, and there's pictures of when they tried to clear that off. They took off the drywall, and then they had to take out all of the insulation, and the studs had mold on them, black mold and white mold, so they had to take those out. And so they've done, just for the one room, they spent almost as much on the one room as they thought they were gonna have to spend on most of it. And now that they've got into it, they really wanna do a good job with it, and they want to change out the flooring, which is probably 25 years old. It's really due for some of those sorts of upgrades. And from my point of view, spending an additional $10,000 to make this airport look good, it's the time to do it is now, because the fuel tanks are in. It's gonna start to come to life, and they got some good plans for it, so that's my.
You say there is an operational budget available, and you've got a lot of plans for it. I'm worried that we're gonna piecemeal into this, increasing the budget, 9,000 here, 5,000 there, 10,000 there. Can't we get a figure approximate for the whole year, and then put it all together and just do one motion, say we're increasing the budget by X amount of dollars?
I believe this is that motion.
So you're not gonna come back again and say, well, gee, now we're gonna do the bottom of the building.
No. Oh, that's the, like I
Or-
could say from my understanding of being there, this is the understanding that this is going to do the repairs that they wanna do at this point, and that they can afford, cause they're paying 90% of it, right?
Mhm.
So they're looking at saying, okay, we need to get this much in repairs done, that's the plan for this year. And they're also looking at getting grants, to do some other stuff, but there's a lot to get done there, and this is the starting point. And I think,
So the 12,500 for operational purposes was not for any repairs, it was just for operating.
yeah,
But we've never
well,
seen that
and a
budget.
few repairs. And a few repairs was part of the basic operating, is my understanding. But that's why I haven't seen what the MD put forward. And at our last meeting there, they weren't, there was nobody there that could speak on the operating budget from the MD's perspective. Bill wasn't there to say this was the number, but that was what they had thought was done, so that was their thinking.
So my thoughts are we should wait to get the operational budget to put into our budget before we finalize what we're going to do. That's just my thoughts.
David?
Well, we have improved the budget over $100,000 from last year, because we did have $137,000 when we were looking after it more or less, or on a 50% basis. If we just approve it now, I mean, we still may encounter things that we have to deal with, but at this point, we're sort of understanding there's a $12,500 operation budget and an ask for $9,000 to do $90,000 worth of repairs. That's what they're putting in their budget. Obviously, they're not gonna be able to, throw another $100,000 at it. It's not gonna be in their budget either, right? Now, they're probably gonna evaluate it, and there's probably gonna be extra expenses, but we can put them into next year's budget, right? They'll make the plans to do those upgrades, which will probably be some upgrades, and I know they're probably looking at a few other things out there. But, I mean, at this point, if we approve the 9 and the 12, I think that they've already sort of spoken for what they need that for. And, I mean, seriously, we do have a big change from last year's budget and we've already saved the taxpayers $100,000, even if we approve that 9.
The $100,000 that we saved went other places in that budget, so.
Well, we allocated, and we moved it from there.
We moved it from there and it went other places, so.
Yeah. And just one other thing, from the airport board's perspective, or they still haven't got a final action plan, a strategic plan of all that they want to do. Like, that's still, I mean, we've had 2 meetings, and that's the topic of our 3rd meeting, is to sort of come up with exactly what we'd want to do, when we're gonna do it, how much it's gonna cost. So all of that needs to be done ahead of, and that's still to be done, and so it's not going to be done in time to have a final budget for this, for our budget. It's just not gonna be ready at that, right now, it's not done. And how much can get done, those are all things that they need to look at as a board, and they're not there yet. But it's coming, it will move along. It's a pretty proactive and I think a good group that'll get things done. Okay. No other comments, questions? So we had the motion to approve the $9,000. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried? Going to the old hospital land site, page 30.
I make a motion that council direct administration to write a letter for the mayor or deputy mayor's signature to the Premier of Alberta, copy to the Minister of Health, Minister of Infrastructure, and MLA Pearl Callahason requesting for the transfer of the old hospital land from the province to the town of High Prairie for municipal purposes and future development, and that the province be responsible for any demolition costs.
Questions, comments?
Just a good idea.
It is just a good idea, absolutely. All those in favor? Carried.
So your letter will be more than just a motion, it'll be a little bit flowery.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the assessment tender on page 31. Deputy Mayor.
I move that council approve Warren Powers and Associates as the tax assessor for the town of High Prairie for assessment years 2015 to 2017, and that the mayor, deputy mayor, and the CAO are authorized to execute the assessment agreement between the town of High Prairie and Warren Powers and Associates.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
Where was this advertised, and it was only Warren that responded?
It's called an ACPN. The full name I forget, but it's a central place where all the contracts are, all the requests for proposals and tenders are put, and everyone that is a professional in that business knows where to go. That's where we have the auditors advertised as well.
And how long did we advertise for?
Yeah, for 2 to 3 weeks.
So Kelly, why would you think that nobody else would have applied or put in a bid on this?
We did talk about this, and I think the treasurer did mention it, and it was mentioned again by more so the auditors who were applying, because the audit request for proposal is on there, and the question is, this is a busy season, why would you want to advertise for those things at this point? Because people are doing audits, they're doing assessments. That's the feedback that I got. The time frame, the time period.
They just didn't have the time to sit down and put together a good proposal at this time here.
Some of the auditors are saying, oh, okay, it's so busy a time we're doing audits, why are you advertising at this point in time? And assessment is the same. The busiest time is around this time.
So when do they suggest to advertise?
So they didn't suggest anything, but this is their busiest time, audit time. No, but they sent an email, for example, Hawkins, the guys who audit the MD, they said, oh, we want to apply, but why are you advertising now? It was a question mark, that was all. So that's the kind of feedback that we're getting.
Well, then I think we should pursue some other, like, here you put it on one site and you're thinking, okay, this is the site, but there's gotta be other auditors out there that would be assessors out there. I'm disappointed that only one person replied. It's easy for him to put his package together, he does our assessments.
Kelly, can I ask, how is this rate compared to the previous rates? I think it looks the same from the budget.
It's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same as what's been done in other years?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's
That's
exactly
what I
the
was
same, yeah, 1950. The ACPN, I mean, it's a very you can have to get a full acronym for it. It's an acronym for it. It's one of the most standardized places for advertising. All professionals go there. You put it on the online. It's there, and everybody can see it. They go there, and that's where professionals go to look at tenders and request for proposals.
What does it stand for?
I forget something.
Assessor, I'm guessing with an A, assessment or something.
Yeah.
It's-
I don't know. A little slow to, but I'll find it out for you and I'll give it to you.
Well, I don't know, to me, I think we should retender. I mean, if you get one, if you could say, well, we put this on the Alberta construction site, that's the busiest site in the province, and nobody else, everybody goes there, they all look there, and only one person applies. Well, what do you mean, it's the only site in the province? There's gotta be some other ones. Yeah, there's the Alberta Road Builders Association, but nobody goes there. Only go to the construction site. There are other places that you can get information from. Now, if you only put it on one place, I don't think we have enough information.
Debbie?
I agree, I'm disappointed that there's not more interest, and it does raise some concern as to why there's not more interest in people applying. But if we brought the MD assessor finding out about it via the advertising, but still choosing not to submit, that very well may be it. It could be a timely issue, and there's probably only so many assessors in our area, and so many that are willing to come and assess here, right? And so many that maybe have room in their portfolio for more business. You know, we don't really understand the whole industry, but I mean, it is likely that there's only a small number of them. I was curious why the MD assessor hadn't, because I was thinking for sure they would apply. Why would they not? They're in the area. So I mean, for them to respond, I mean, because I would think that would be a likely candidate. Other than that, how many more likely candidates are there? I don't know.
My frustration more comes with when you look at when we advertised for this before, it was later in the year. And we get it when we really have no other option but to go with this firm because, like, we've just been told, wrong time of year. So had the administration been on top of things and advertised this sooner so that we could have gotten more names, we might have gotten a better deal. That's where the frustration comes from. Instead, we get told last minute, well, this contract is due. Now we're getting told, well, it's too late now because nobody else really wants you guys because they're already busy. Could we have saved money? Possibly. Now we never know. Now we're stuck with this outfit.
So the MD assessor sent you an email?
No, don't get me wrong, I said the auditor,
The
not
auditor.
the
Oh, the
assessor.
auditor.
Hawkins, yeah. not
Oh,
yeah.
the auditor sent
yes.
an email.
Yeah, asking about the audits, they are two different things.
Oh, because you're tendering the audits
As well. We are acting based on the resolution of council. Remember, we brought this in, and council asked administration to tender this thing out and bring it by a certain date. And that's what we're doing. We are working with the resolution of council.
Okay. Any other, like, I think we've got an idea that we're unhappy that we didn't get more in, probably due to the time of year. Perhaps maybe it's not the right spot, but again, it probably is. There's probably not a lot of assessors out there that, so they might have one central spot where you go for those sorts of things. And we need to either move ahead with this one or not. And I know these guys weren't going to put one in because they were sort of upset with the town that we didn't want to carry it forward for the additional year like they had proposed. But anyways, that's where we're at with this.
I have one more comment. I think that we should go back out and actually send letters to some of the assessment firms and say, we're looking for new assessors, and contact them. We've got lists of who assessors are. Let's write a letter.
Councilor Rose?
But are we concerned? I mean, these guys have put in the proposal, and are we disappointed in their service? I thought we were happy with them as assessors, and we did we not get a little bit of a quote, because Kelly had got a quote the one meeting in January from somebody else, not so much that they bid, but that they had sent out this is what our rates are if we were interested, because there were, obviously in January there were assessors that were looking for new contracts, and the rates that he got sent were higher than this.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only other one I know.
I believe the business people in this community were very unhappy with Powers and Associates. They didn't like his attitude, and they didn't like the responses when they complained about their assessment.
So where are we at in time frame? Like, we have to have an assessor in place by
March, I think.
March?
March 31st. Yeah, March 31st, yeah.
I don't know if we've got enough time now. It seems like we're gonna be, as Councillor Carrier said, we're stuck.
Well, maybe we're only stuck for 1 year.
There's something I can mention that might be of help. In the agreement, there are two clauses that may be of importance to you. One is an extension, possibly by both parties, if the 3 years period can. And there's also a termination clause, 6 months notice as termination clause. So you can take a look at that and see if it's something that 13 point,
Do you have the agreement?
yeah, I do have it. 13.1.3. Yeah, I'll give that to you. Yeah. Can you read that, Mr. Chairman?
Well, we don't have to give any notice because the agreement's terminated.
But if we agree to a new agreement, is that what you're
Yeah, this is a new agreement.
So if, no, let's go with the old agreement. Isn't there an extension clause on the old agreement for 1 year?
They applied, and this is the new agreement. The
What
other
about
one is
the
not.
old agreement?
I don't have the old agreement.
Didn't the old agreement have an extension clause?
Yes.
And was the extension clause for 1 year?
No, the extension clause is that when the time comes, you can, both parties agree to renew it for another 3 years. That's what it means. Then the termination clause is that you can give 6 month notice to each other to terminate.
Do you have to have reason to terminate?
No, it's in the clause. That's why I said you should say pay attention. Yeah,
Okay.
That's why I pay.
Yeah.
So that gives you the leeway as to,
So you can hire him for 1 year and terminate in 6 months?
I don't know, it's there, I mean, it's council's prerogative, at
Or you
least.
could agree to the 3-year contract and then terminate it in 6 months.
Well, that's right.
But again, in my opinion, at this point, we don't have any, from my perspective, reason to terminate them. They've done their job. They haven't had any major requests. They did work with the businesses to adjust their things. Maybe the businesses didn't like the temperament of Warren Powers himself, but I know from when I talked with them, they were happy with the employees or of that company when they had to deal with them. So, I don't know, I'm disappointed we didn't get more, wish we would've had it, maybe if we would've advertised later, but that's my perspective. So. All right, we've gone around this a fair amount. Are we ready to vote? We have a motion to accept or to approve this tender. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moving on to 5B3, self-assessment questionnaire. Any motion coming out of this one?
I make a motion that council receive for information the town of High Prairie viability self-assessment questionnaire.
Thank you. Comments, questions? I'm sure there's some will be here. Mayor Cox.
So on page 52 of this self-assessment, it says interpreting the results of your self-assessment. And then it gives the different interpretations. So did you do that? I'm wondering if we have a breakdown of this interpretation.
I think the idea was just to have us fill it out and not make any comments about it, and then get municipal affairs to come and make the review for you, and then present this to them at that time. So we never went further than that. We didn't give an opinion on it. We just left it as is.
Councillor Denier, or Deputy Mayor Denier.
I guess in my motion that I made, I was hoping to see what the end results would be from what was the response to the questions that were answered. So now we're waiting for the municipal affairs to come. I was hoping we would have sort of had an end result saying, from our responses based on these questions, this is sort of where we're at.
Are you looking for saying that we are viable or not?
No, I just want the interpretation of the results, which is what I believe Mayor Cox is asking for, cause it says now that you've answered the questions, what do you do? And then it sort of explains how you figure that out. So I was kind of looking to see where we stood in regards to the self-assessment,
So you want the opinion of administration?
based on the answers. And then, of course, as I'm going through this, some of the responses, I kind of question some of the responses to some of the questions because I'm interpreting them differently.
So the thought process is this, for a questionnaire of this nature, what would normally happen is that it's about like half a day that council needs to go through. It is a political issue, not an administrative issue. And we're receiving it for information and not putting it aside. What would normally happen is have council go through this, half a day, 1 day, whatever, to examine this. So the purpose is that after municipal affairs has come and done their presentation, council will have the opportunity, now that they understand the whole purview of what it takes to undergo a viability review, to examine the questionnaire. That is the purpose. It takes more than just a few hours of reading. Council as a whole will have to determine where the municipality fits into any of this. It's not an administrative question. It's a council purview.
I agree that, I mean, you've filled it out and it's something that council needs to go through, saying, okay, why did you come up with this answer, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Any idea when municipal affairs is going to come?
Yes, I can give you, but I talked to Ryan, and Ryan had, and I had it in my report. Ryan proposed April 9th, which is a Thursday, 13th, which is a Monday, 14th, which is a Tuesday, which is the regular council meeting, of the 15th. And what I understand from council from time to time is that Monday sometimes is busy for council, and then the 15th, the 14th is the regular council meeting, and then the 15th is a Wednesday. So the 9th, which is almost independent time, might be the time that council may want to look at. And so that's my suggestion.
Now, I'm just looking ahead in terms of process. This isn't an agenda item later on, so maybe we can set the date now. Like it is mentioned in your report, Kelly.
Yeah.
But we're probably good to set the date right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we've got one motion on the table and then we can set the date after. I think is the way we can handle this one for that. So we know we have another meeting coming up with municipal affairs, that we can go over that, and perhaps, do you know, Kelly, if they would offer an opinion on where, you know, based on what you filled in, how we would, our viability statement, do they do that?
They will. If you ask me of the cuff, okay, and ask me, Kelly, from your reading of the questionnaire, okay, what is your opinion? I'll say that it's not viable. If that's what you want to know, it's a very viable town. No questions. But at the end of the day, it's the politicians who have to make up their minds as to how they want to proceed. What will they say? They will say it's viable. It's a viable town. I have no questions in my mind. Not at all. No doubt. At this point where the town sits, it's a very viable town.
Thank you.
The only other thing I'd like to say on this topic, when you go on the site and you pull up the questionnaire, and I believe it says right in the beginning part of it, it's some municipalities use this as part of their strategic planning, because they, you know, it gives them things that they need to focus on and look at, and maybe that's something that we need to implement as well. But I mean, the motion is to accept right now, and then we can move on to the municipal affairs coming in.
And I agree, that's exactly what when I looked at it, I thought this will lead right in nicely to having a strategic planning session, which we need to do on an annual basis, and we can maybe just do that right after. So, I mean, even if we just accept it for information at this point, it's a starting point for us to review at that strategic planning session.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, I think we need to, you know, they talk about in here, you know, coming up with a specific action plan of exactly what you wanna do and how you're going to improve, and I think it is good, because it's a self-reflection, and you can see where we could get better and what we need to improve on, and come up with an action plan that could be built into our strategic plan, and, you know, it all builds in nicely that way.
Yeah, which are components right now that are sort of missing from that strategic plan, so.
Okay, seeing no more hands up, I guess that everybody's exhausted their questions. So, all of those in favor of receiving for information? Good, carried. All right, moving on to, oh, right, we got it, sorry. Thank you. We get, go
Okay,
ahead.
I make a motion that, administration set up, workshop with municipal affairs for Thursday, April 9th at 7 o'clock.
All right, thank you for that motion, and we'll, I just wanna check my calendar. And that's the Thursday, April 9th?
Yep.
That works for me. That's good. Work for you? Yep. And Debbie, it's good, okay, well, we got everybody that agrees with it, all those in favor?
First you poll and then you vote.
Well, I'm just looking if there was any objections, cause then we'd have to go back and discuss it, but if everybody's in agreement, we might as well just vote, right? Yeah. Everybody agrees, then there's no more discussion. All right. So now we move on to, item number 4, MD of Big Lakes Economic Development Committee, page 54.
The council appoint Linda Cox as the primary representative to the MD of Big Lakes Economic Development Committee, and that Councillor Debbie Rose be appointed as alternate.
Okay, discussion.
Is this a committee that's separate from the ones that are meeting now?
Yeah, this is a committee that, has been meeting for a little bit, but it's fairly new, I think, and, I was invited to go to the, last meeting in January. It was just after our intermunicipal meeting, and, they realized at that point that maybe they should be looking at making this more a town and MD, like, joining forces a little bit, cause it's been sort of a Big Lakes, economic development, but they're seeing how it really, would be beneficial to have a town councillor on it as well. So I sat at that meeting, and then they said, they asked me if I wanted to sit on it, and I said, just send a request to council.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor? Carried.
You'll let them know, the appointment?
Yes.
Fraud Prevention Month proclamation.
Make a motion that council proclaim the month of March 2015 as Fraud Prevention Month.
Any discussion? All those in favor? New Building Canada Fund, page 59. Get me there.
I make a motion that council direct administration to apply for the New Building Canada Fund for the following two projects, number 1, 56th Avenue, 49th Street to the river, and number 2, the number 2 lift station.
So numbers 1 and number 3.
Was it number 3 or number 2? Sorry.
Pardon me?
Number 3?
No, there's 2 priorities, but there's 3 or 4 options listed, and I was looking at options 1 and 3, that's
1 and
in our package, is what she's recommending, right? Out of the 4. Thoughts?
Why 1 and 3?
One, I went with 1, being that that's the first one, and it sounds like it's the older one that needs repair with the water mains. And I went with the lift station as a preventative measure to do it now while it's still decent, as opposed to doing it similar to the one that we're doing now, that it's decrepit and falling apart.
I'd like to ask administration what they recommend and why.
So we recommended 1 and 2.
1 and 2,
Yeah.
and why is that?
Couple of things. The amount involved, we're taking the high end of the amount. It's about $150,000 to $3 million, and so we picked the higher one. Public Works was also of the opinion that because of the low pressure nature of the water supply and the sewer lines underground, that if we were to do the roads, we'll be able to capture road repair and underground repair. And so that's where we are coming from. Because some of those lines are very, very old. And
That
then
was on number 1.
1 and 2. 1 and 2. Deteriorating water main and the aging sewer line, right? And so what has been to our advantage is that all the time, all the roads that we've done, it's not just the surface, but as soon as we rip up the roads, we go in and change the line. So we thought it would be beneficial to the town if we went with 1 and 2. But we're not, we do not preclude 3, because I can see where you're coming from, road, lift station. That makes sense as well.
Well, we're good at lift stations now. Mayor Cox.
I'm looking at the, thinking of the 10-year plan. Are these the projects out of the 10-year plan?
Yeah,
Or are
they're
these
in the-
different ones?
No, they're in the 10-year plan, but
They-
they're spread all over.
They're spread all over.
Yeah. But we're trying to capture, what we try to do is, we try to circumvent the projects that we have now and not fight over them, because they're in the capital budget, and go for things down the road, but that have the expensive nature to them to fit within the application requirements. That's where the reasoning is.
I have another question, if I can. It's just regarding where would we come up with, I mean, if we get 1 and 2, or even just one of them, we gotta come up with number 1, another $879,000.
Right.
Where is that coming from?
Yeah, and that's the good thing about the town of High Prairie for now, is that we've accumulated a lot of surplus equity. And when we try to do things like this, we say, if we are forced to, if this is approved, where would we get the money? We have the money to do this. So we didn't want to go beyond what we could chew, but at the same time, we wanted to take the high end, so there's money there that will accommodate this.
Well, if we can get 2/3 of it covered, it makes sense to use your savings now, right? Because it's stuff that needs to get done in the future.
Yes, and Mr. Chair, luckily, I don't know about the future, now we do have the money. I can't speak for the future, but now we do have the means to do that. What's happening, just to give you a sense, and I think I talked to Public Works, is maybe somewhere about 30% of the infrastructure we've moved on them. It's a good thing, it's a feel-good scenario. If we're to get this, I mean, that would be the top of it. I mean, that puts this town in a very good stead for so many years to come, if we can get it.
The lift station number 2, I know the wastewater program states that it has to be a It has to be the end of the line for sewer in order to qualify?
Yes.
How much of this, is this not the end of the line, lift station two?
To be honest with you, I don't know that, I won't be able to answer that technical question, but I would believe that, what's his name, Vern and Brian would have added it on because it fits within the requirements of this particular funding. That's outside the issue that you're raising, that we faced when we tried to justify the other one. This is a much broader category.
It's a different grant.
Grant, yes.
I don't have a problem with 1 and 3, and I actually feel for 4. 4 probably we could use some of the MD's money for downtown rehabilitation because that would impact the MD's. They're always saying, well, you know, it has to be a benefit to the MD. Well, so many of their business people live in the MD, so they might be responsive to saying let's do. So 4 is down the line as far as 1 and 3.
I think any of these would fall under the MD's
Well, I don't know about the lift station.
Hmm?
What about that? I don't think the lift station would.
That's infrastructure,
Yeah, okay.
and if they can't flush the toilets at the swimming pool, they'd be upset. I think you could argue any of these would fall under that
Okay.
MD, that's.
So let's go for building Canada and see what 1 and 3 are. I'm okay with 1 and 3. I mean, they gave us 4, so they don't.
Yeah. Just, Kelly, I'm just wondering about options 2 and 3. Is there any of these, like I know you recommended 2, but is 3 in poorer shape than the road? Or did you recommend number 2 because the cost estimate was higher and put it up there a little bit? I guess I'm just wondering which one's likely gonna last longer and.
Public Works felt 1 and 2, but again, that's why we have all the mines here, right? And so the cost difference is not that much. So there are things that administratively we see, but we don't see. So I can see the point when somebody says lift station. I can see it in my mind's eye why the lift station. So it's nothing that we're opposed to.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried?
When will this go up?
So as soon as possible, as soon as very fast next week.
Can we
Okay.
break?
Yeah.
And when we send this out, do we send anything to Pearl to let her know which ones we're applying for?
Yeah, we will. We will.
Okay.
We'll get the information, yeah.
All right, we'll take a 10-minute recess. Come back at 22.
So it was 1 and 3.